Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in this AFK journey video, we are going to talk about Phraesto and talk about his kit as well as my first impression of the unit based on our initial rounds of testing. So for this unit, it's quite a unique unit because at the start of the battle, he will be able to summon another copy of himself, which inherits 100% of his stats and is able to use all his skills, including the ultimate. So positioning of this unit is, I'll say, gonna be a really fun part moving forward because there's a lot of ways you can actually use this unit, as the unit actually has a EX weapon skill which deals massive damage while stunning the enemy if the illusion is defeated before he is. So if there's a way to abuse this illusion bomb ability, it might actually change out how you want to use this unit. So right now for this unit, it works the best based on the initial testing that you just put like two of them in the same row to benefit from the massive damage reduction from the ultimate ability. Because if you have the illusion as well as the main hero on the same row, they will get a 30% damage reduction effect which lasts until one of them is defeated. So right now it's probably lining them up together and then putting units behind them to benefit from the second skill. However, right, if you go into the EX weapon skill, the EX weapon skill is able to do 500% damage and stun the enemy who deals the most damage if the illusion is defeated. So another way that I could think of that you can try this unit is to send the unit in, the illusion in, to bomb the enemy and then stun them so that your other allies can focus on the enemy that gets stunned, right? Or use the illusion as a form of control to stun the enemy based on the setup of the enemy. So there is a few ways you can play this unit, and it's I'll say a fun unit based on the positioning aspects. And on top of that, right, the active of the ultimate deals damage while recovering himself. So it's a self heal as well as an AoE damage, and increase in level further increases the damage of the active. So that's for the ultimate Futile Echo. And then the second skill, Crimson Contract. So both Phraesto as well as the illusion is able to buff the ally depending on who you put behind them. So sacrificing 6% of the HP of the ally, right, Phraesto can increase the ally's HP recovery if you put the unit behind him, the main body. If you put the unit behind the illusion will gain a 14% damage reduction. So depending on the needs of your team, depending on your enemy, depending on your position, you can actually change the positionings accordingly so that you get more energy regen, so that you get more DPS, or you get more damage reduction on certain units so that they survive better. So very, I'll say, complex way of playing him. So the terms of each contract remains undetected by enemies before the battle starts. So this line is more for the PvP side of things. So this is to sort of mask where the illusion or the main hero is, but I don't think it affects this unit that much because the illusion has the same stat as the main hero. So it's nearly as tanky, if not even more tankier, because of his subsequent ability, which I'm going to mention later. So the last line, I don't think it matters that much. And the active part of this Crimson Contract launches 3 strikes to deal damage to the enemy, and further increase in level increases the DPS as well as grants additional energy, and also the illusion will grant the recipient with a shield. So making the illusion will basically make your ally tankier with damage reduction as well as shield, and then Phraesto will make the ally behind him do more DPS or do more skills with energy regeneration as well as extra energy at the start of battle. So very good utility unit there as well. And then third skill, Vicious Sting, is a debuff allowing him to deal damage while inflicting venom. So enemies with the paralyzing venom will have haste reduced by 30 and vitality reduced by 45. They'll also lose a fixed percentage of HP based on their max HP per second, and this also restores Phraesto's max HP based on who's the caster. So if it's the illusion that casts this skill, the illusion will regenerate HP, and if it's Phraesto, which is the main hero, casting this skill, then it will regen the HP on this unit. So this skill, in partnership with the 30% damage reduction as well as the hero focus, which buffs the magical and physical defense on himself and the illusion, makes this unit super duper tanky, makes the illusion super duper tanky, which I'll showcase later on. So this skill, right, it's, I'll say, on paper sounds pretty good for Dream Realm, but I think it requires more testing because it's based off the max HP of the enemy that you use the skill on. So it's probably a lot better against tankier units with a lot of HP and probably gonna do more damage from there. But because the current boss that we are at right now is Croaker, which might not be the best example for this unit, so we shall wait for more testing on the other Dream Realm bosses to draw any conclusion from there. So that's for Vicious Sting. So Hero Focus increases physical and magical defense, and whenever one of them loses 10% of their max HP, the other one gain energy. So this increase in energy allows them to use their ultimate, which is more heals for themselves. So let's say if you hit the illusion, right, a lot of HP is lost on the illusion, the main body will gain energy and then will use the ultimate to regen HP and do damage. So if you do a lot of damage to the main body, the illusion will gain energy and then the illusion will be able to perform ultimate, do damage and heal itself back up. So in this case, right, Phraesto as well as the illusion, they are separate bodies. They are basically able to do the same thing. And even if you kill the illusion, as long as Phraesto is alive, he's still able to tank on the front line. So that's something to take note for this unit. Very powerful dual tank just straight up at the start of the battle. Then EX weapon skill, which I mentioned just now, is a massive nuke. So I think there's some skill description error because EX weapon level 3, right, says that you increase the skill damage of this skill to 700%, but based on our testing, he was able to actually summon another illusion after the first one is defeated. So there could be, I'll say, an arrangement error. Nothing is confirmed here. We shall wait for the official patch note if there's any based on this skill, because the fourth skill is insanely powerful, being able to summon a new illusion. So another tank that can do everything that he can do and then tank up more on the front line. So pretty insane there. And it should be a level 3 skill in most cases, because usually what happens is the spike comes at EX level 10 and then the EX level 15 is just additional stats with a little bit of power up, but we'll wait for official confirmation on this one, so no speculation on that. So for the Supreme Plus skill, we have the Enhanced Force, which buffs him and the illusion. If they are positioned in the same row, they receive a shield equals to 570% of their attack when the battle starts. So as you guys can see, this skill, right, this skill as well as this 30% damage reduction, as well as this skill, the heals, the defense boost, the shield, the damage reduction, overall makes Phraesto just an insane tank with two bodies, right, or two tanks, insane two tanks that just stands on the front line. And to end things off, right, we got a seasonal skill that taunts enemy within 2 tile radius when he casts his ultimate from the provocation. So this was supposed to be the torrent skill that we saw in the trailer, and it's on Phraesto. Very powerful. So if they do layer their ultimate, I mean, if the illusion use the ultimate, right, and then 6 seconds later the main body uses the ultimate, if they layer their skills properly, then this taunt could extend all the way up to 13 seconds, which is quite insane. But I mean, that's the perfect condition. So just a bunch of control, a bunch of debuff, buffs, as well as a very tanky or 2 very tanky bodies on the front line. So that's for Phraesto in terms of his kit. Now let's talk about his mechanic and how you want to use the unit. So I'll use Croaker as an example. For this unit, right, when you position the unit on the battlefield, you'll be able to see the illusion, which is highlighted in red. So when you put the position, I mean, when you shift the position of the main body, you will see this Scorpio mark on the floor. So this mark represents the area where when you put the illusion to, you will get the 30% damage reduction. So that's point number 1 you want to take note of when you're using this unit. Point number 2, when you put the unit behind Phraesto or the illusion, take note of the color scheme, because if you put a unit behind the illusion, you get damage reduction. If you put a unit behind the main body, that's energy regen speed. So depending on whether or not you need more DPS or if you need more tankability on the unit that you're trying to buff, you have to take note of the positioning. So if the unit is not in a straight line, then it loses quite a bit of tankability, because it not only loses the 30% damage reduction, but also loses the shield at the start of battle, right? So the S plus skill is the one where when they are positioned in the same row, they get another shield. So the damage reduction plus the shield makes this unit super duper tanky. And as I mentioned earlier, this illusion is an additional body, so it can actually tank the insta kill of Croaker separately. So I'll showcase with this run. I'm just gonna put the usual Dream Realm unit here. So I think we're gonna use OD for this one, and then we're gonna put Rainer here. Okay, and over here let's put in Satrana, I guess, to keep Satrana healthy. Okay, so this will be it. So I'll use Croaker as a example with to talk about his kit. So right here, the two bodies will just go up and then they will use their skill. So each skill is considered, I'll say, one debuff. As you guys can see, there's two debuff on the boss. So when the timer is up, the debuff is gone. And for this unit itself, right, what I would like to say is this unit is super duper tanky. Like, based on our testing on the different AFK stages, all the very high deficit stages where our torrents cannot survive, the two bodies of Phraesto can survive. So this test proves that this unit is an amazing frontliner that soaks up a lot of damage. But one thing which I think is a little bit lacking is the taunt that comes in only at the ultimate. So yes, this unit has a little bit of control, but the control is more like a debuff rather than a stun, or like a taunt, or maybe like a freeze, or maybe any form of mini stun like Tamasia, for example. So that is something which I think the unit is slightly lacking in. But in terms of standing on the front line, in terms of soaking up damage, I think Phraesto just does the job insanely well. In terms of damage output of Phraesto, it's not very spectacular. Based on our initial observation, I'll say this unit is more defensive than anything else. So at least for Croaker itself, later on you guys will see the damage distribution. I think this unit is not exactly the best Dream Realm character, but this unit is actually really powerful in like the PvP contents as well as AFK challenge pushing. Although I think positioning is gonna be something that is gonna make the whole thing a lot more interesting, but at the same time also make the whole thing a little bit more complicated. But nonetheless, I'll say it's quite a fun unit, at least based on the initial rounds. So I'll end off this battle to show the battle record, and then I'm gonna show the arena runs that we test in, and then explain a few other mechanics that we tried with this unit. Phraesto is still not as good as Torrent, specifically for Croaker, because Torrent is a much better unit to survive longer for Croaker, because Torrent technically has 3 lives, which will actually negate all the insta kill from Croaker. So that's for Phraesto. So usually you don't run 2 tanks, so I think in terms of Dream Realm side, if you want to run a tank, I think Torrent will still be the better options in most cases. But we will need more testing, so stay tuned for more testing on the other bosses. So for the arena side of things, there's a few things I tried as well with regards to the mechanics. So we have the very first one, which is the Diurnal Comm. So the buff that this unit provides for its ally, it's permanent. So if you want to combo him with Diurnal for the non-permanent stat buff, it's not feasible, because Diurnal gets the intoxication buff from non-permanent stat buff, and because the buff that Phraesto provides for the team, it's a permanent one, so it doesn't benefit Diurnal that much. So that's one thing that you guys want to take note of if you want to run a 5 Celestial Hypogean team like myself. So that's one thing. Okay, so the next one is with regards to the Zoo Comm. So this is the Zoo Comm. So the illusion does not benefit from Florbell Shield. So this is highly likely due to the mechanics part, because Florbell Shield only benefits the units that comes onto the battlefield when the battle starts. But for Phraesto's illusion, it is already there when the battle starts. So therefore, the illusion does not benefit from Florbell shielding itself. So one thing about Phraesto is this unit is a very tanky unit that is very powerful the longer the battle draws out, but I'll say it's quite heavily reliant on being positioned on the same line for all the good defensive buff. So just now, as you guys can see, because my illusion as well as the main body, it's in a zigzag position, front back position, so we didn't get the shield, which is the damage reduction, and we also didn't get the 570% attack shield, which is quite crucial to extend his survival. So that's for this one. And then lastly, just some AFK stage showcase. So let's go into this one. Okay, so we have some replays over here. So this is against I think 700 plus AFK stage. So let's just run through it, and then we go at one time. So right here we are at multi-team stage 148, which is roughly around 800 plus 900 stage, and you guys can see, right, the unit as well as the illusion itself, they are both super duper healthy, and they can heal back the damage that they take. because they're insanely tanky, as there's a damage reduction shield on them and then the defense buff ready on them. Ultimate use, right, heals up the main body, the illusion uses the ultimate, heals up the illusion, and just crazy in terms of soaking up damage. For the context that you guys might not know, right, if I use Torrent, if I use Danny, all the tanks just get instantly melted, at least around this stage. So in terms of how well this unit can survive, it is top tier for sure. So yeah, based on the initial testing and first impression, I think Phraesto is definitely going to be a pretty meta tank that will draw a lot of attention and will require quite a bit of testing to see its full potential, but probably not the best for damage related contents, because yeah, I don't think his damage is that good, and he doesn't really buff your unit so much that he's a must for damage related contents. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more AFK journey contents from the channel, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.